Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new to the channel. If you are new to the channel, my name is Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking, and this channel is all about backpacking, outdoors, adventure, trips, and gear. Today we're going to be talking about some gear. So as yesterday I put out the video talking about my stay in the hospital, and right now I'm still going through my recovery, making sure that I'm hydrating well, making sure that I'm taking care of myself, and just not overexerting myself, not doing anything strenuous, at least for a little bit of time, until I'm totally cleared, everything's good. Really next week when I go back in and get the labs done, that'll tell me a little bit more. But as I'm sitting around here watching videos and reading, it got me thinking that, especially after this health thing, there are plenty of times when I'm out on the trail that I, keep pushing to get to the perfect place for something. The perfect place to stay, the perfect place to stop, the perfect place, to get water, to stop for a snack, to take a break. And a lot of times what that ends up doing is pushing me, sometimes further than I had intended to go or wanted to go to get to a log that I want to sit on, or a rock that looks good, or an area that just looks right for doing whatever. And there have been times that I've carried a hammock chair, and actually if you go back like out at Paladuro with Rain Man, there were times that I took a chair with me when I was in I think when I was in Sweden, I took a chair with me. But I haven't really carried a chair much. And so it got me to thinking that, if I need to really kind of back up, take things into a little bit more perspective, slow things down a little bit, at least for the short term. Primarily the times that I've carried chairs have been on tent trips. And I do have a tent trip coming up in, just over a month. So I've got a short period of time here where I've got to get myself recovered, good, back into shape, and out hiking, putting some miles down to get me ready for that Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim. Because I really don't want to be, I've gotten the Dan Becker similarities, thrown out there when I posted on Facebook. People were like, hey, isn't that what Dan Becker had? And I talked about that in the last video that, yeah, it was. And he had to be air rescued out when he was at the Grand Canyon. And since we're planning a rim to rim to rim over the course of 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. It's not an easy hike, and it is strenuous, and it's still warm, and down in the bottom, pretty warm during the period that we're doing it. So I got to thinking that I wanted a chair, and since I'm sitting around here, why not go somewhere else and sit around? So I did exactly that. I went to my local REI and went and sat in every single backpacking weight-ish chair, folding chair that they had. So that was Nemo chairs, that was Helinox chairs, that was REI's chairs, that was, what else? There was Big Agnes chairs. I think those were the only 4 brands that they had there in stock. I read a lot of stuff and I was really actually interested in seeing the Nemo one. The Nemo reclining one sounded really good to me. So that was the first one I got out and set up. I actually set them all up and left them set up, and had 2 different REI sales associates come over and try and help me out. And I let them know what I was doing, and they were like, okay, cool. And they just kind of walked away and let me do what I was doing. One of them was kind enough to tell me that, hey, the one that I was putting together right there wasn't really good for backpacking, that it was a little bit too heavy. And I knew that going into it, but if the comfort was really that good, I may sacrifice for that comfort. So anyway, I believe it was 5 chairs set up. It was the REI FlexLite, the REI FlexLite Air, the Helinox Chair Zero, the Big Agnes, I want to say it's Skylight, and the Nemo, I want to say, is Moonlight or something like that, and that's the one that has like the adjustments on it that can let you recline. So I got them all set up, and I sat down in each one of them, and right off, the one that was supposed to be super comfortable, I didn't like at all. So the Nemo one was out the door immediately. I did like the Big Agnes one. I actually really liked that one, but there was a problem with the one that was there in the store. It was the last one, and I believe that has actually been discontinued. I went online, and there are some places that have it, but it said limited stock. So really the price wasn't that, it was actually a little bit more expensive than some of the others that I was testing out. So sat in the Helinox Chair Zero, because that's kind of the gold standard for lightweight camp chairs. That's what everyone talks about. That's the one that everyone wants. Wasn't as comfortable to me as the Big Agnes, but it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. Then I sat in the REI FlexLight, and it was pretty good. I sat in the REI FlexLight Air, and I actually really liked it. So I ended up going with the FlexLight Air, and so that's what I went with, for a few reasons. Number one, I thought it was comfortable. Some people don't like the way that it sits. Some people say that it's a little bit too upright. I actually felt like it was more reclined, and I was able to recline more in it because there's a little bit of give in the way that it's designed. There was a little bit of give, so if I actually sat more forward on the seat, I could lean back more, and it felt really good. The departure angle, the angle that your legs come out, isn't quite as low as some of the other chairs, so you can't really lay with or sit with your legs out in front of you as easily. Now, if you had like a rock or a chair or a rock, a stump, anything like that in front of you, you can easily put your feet up on it and then put your legs out. But I was able to sit up really well. I was trying, sit in it, see how comfortable I am. How easily can I do tasks in front of me like cooking, filtering water. So those were the important things. And then the last piece was weight. And I've always kind of been under the impression that the Helinox Chair Zero is the lightest one out there, but doing a little bit of research before I went to look at these, the FlexLight is actually lighter. And while the Helinox chair says it's 16 ounces or a pound, it's actually 18 ounces, maybe a little bit over 18 ounces depending on which one you're weighing, whereas the FlexLight actually comes in under 16 ounces. This one here is 15.93 is what this one weighed in on my scale. 15.93 ounces. It has a very similar design to the Helinox with one big distinction. So why don't I get this thing set up and we can take a look at it and talk through the distinction. Okay, so setting this thing up is not tough at all, and I've seen videos where people actually complain about the setup of this thing, but really I found it to be pretty easy. You've got the chair body, which is just a simple piece of cloth with reinforced areas on the corners, and then you've got this deck aluminum body that, or the skeleton, the frame of it, whatever you want to call it, that goes together. So one of the things that I heard complaints about as I was watching videos was the fact that this rotates, and so it makes it really hard to put together. But I didn't find that to be a problem at all. Once you get it to this point, now you're gonna find your seat, and the REI piece, the piece that actually says REI, goes at the top, the back. And so you just kind of snap those in. Pretty simple. And now your chair is ready to sit in. Now the one big distinct difference, the actual form of this chair is very, very similar to the Helinox, except for the orientation of this bar. So this center bar here runs front to back. As you can see, if you'd be sitting in this, it runs front to back in this chair, and it runs side to side. So this would be the front of the Helinox. It runs this direction. And what I did find when sitting in them is that gave the Helinox a better side to side stability. This one definitely moves. It almost rocks a little bit side to side, but I didn't find that to be bad. I actually kind of liked it. So I'm gonna sit in this and show you guys kind of what it looks like sitting in it. Okay, so sitting in it, you can sit upright, pretty upright, so that it's easy to work on whatever it is in front of you. But what I found is that you can actually lean forward, and I don't know if you can see that, but it almost like bends and gives me a really good recline sit position. And I've seen other reviews where they talked about how this isn't really possible, that in this chair it's a very upright feel and it's not very relaxing. Now the one thing that is a little bit different is it's not quite as comfortable. You absolutely can. If you slide forward enough, you can put your legs out in front of you. Not a big problem. But if you're sitting back a little bit and you try and do that, because of the departure angle of the seat, it's I believe 20 degrees, whereas the Helinox is 10 degrees. It does kind of cut into the back of your hamstrings there. But you get around that by just leaning forward. Now you can sit however you want to sit, and things are good. But I actually really like this. I mean, I like the fact that I can kind of change my position, and it definitely flexes a little bit to me to give me a really nice, comfortable position. And this will give me the opportunity that if I need to stop, whether it's filter water, get a snack, do lunch, I've got something that I can set up, sit down in, and not be as rushed, not be uncomfortable, and looking for the first chance to get out of there. So there you go. This is the REI FlexLight Air. It is the lightest chair that's out there that's truly a standalone chair, not a hammock chair or anything like that. And what I didn't talk about was the price. So the price of this, you can usually find them on sale, but even if you don't find them on sale and you're paying full price, this comes in just under $100. It's $99. The Helinox is $149. The Nemo that I had tried was $159. I believe the discounted price on the Big Agnes was $105. So really good deal on an extremely lightweight chair. I don't have any complaints at this point, but I'll get it out on the trail once I'm able to hit the trail again, and I'll let you guys know how this thing fares out there. And with it being just slightly under a pound, am I even going to notice it's on my pack? I'm going to store it on the top of the pack so that or somewhere on the outside, depending on what I've got on the pack, just so that it's always accessible and I've got no excuse to not pull it out when I stop and drop the pack. Appreciate you guys checking this out. If you have any questions, any comments, if you want to know more about this or about the other chairs that I tested out, go ahead and leave a question down below and I'll discuss that. Appreciate you guys checking this out. I will see you guys down the trail.